Hello everyone and welcome back. It's been a little while since I've checked in with a video diary. If you saw my last video or you've been keeping up a little bit on Instagram more recently, you'll know that I've been going through a pretty big time in my life and what we call heartbreak. I know that this is really a breaking open and a breaking through and an expansion into new life. But while it's happening and while the emotion is fresh and the heartbreak is, new and raw, it can feel like such a crumbling and a falling apart. And there's been so many emotions of grief, loss, abandonment, hurt, betrayal, just not understanding, just all of these emotions, shock. It's been a pretty intense time for me. I had my most intense time with this quite a few weeks back and was just not able to really do anything on social media platforms or keep sharing these video diaries. I really needed to go within and just be around my close friends and people that I could talk things out with and really start to heal before I could really come back into this space and share anything. And so I'm definitely still in this. Like, I just want to be really honest in saying that I'm moving my way through this. It's not something I'm over or something that feels like it's completely complete or closed for me. It's something it's like waves of emotion and new layers and new things coming up. And I'm doing better, I would say. But yeah, some days there's more emotions that come in. There's more layers to this that I'm like, oh my God, that feels so painful. That feels so hurtful. I feel betrayed. I feel abandoned. All of these things coming up. So I'm definitely in it, but I wanted and felt like I was perhaps a little bit more ready to come in and start sharing just honestly some of the things I'm doing to help myself through this time and the people and practices that I'm calling in around me to support me in helping me to move forward during this period of time. Firstly, I've had to really feel these feelings, like really feel them, and there's been a relief that has actually come through doing that because I'm not avoiding anything anymore. I'm in a space where I actually can't. Especially a few weeks back when all of this happened, it was I just fell into what felt like an absolute pile of mess. And I couldn't eat. I could not stop crying. Like, I was just in such a state of grief. And in that space, there was just no way I could avoid any of the feelings that were coming up for me. I had no choice but to actually sit with them and face them. And there was actually relief that came with doing this because I couldn't run, I couldn't avoid, I couldn't step half into the emotion. I had to just be in it. And with being in it, I remember one night in particular, I ended up at my friend's house and I ran a bath, and this was such a beautiful big round bathtub, and I got into it. I crawled like what felt like tiny, tired, broken version of myself into this bath, and I was crying, and I went from tears and grief and pain and hurt into grace, like actually starting, like the tears slowed down and a smile actually appeared on my face and my body started swaying in the water. And I just felt this essence of grace and surrender and that like perfection that, everything's gonna be okay, you gotta trust. And I knew that moment could be a bit fleeting and that I would probably go through waves of emotion, but I wrote that moment down so that I knew, like, a week ago I didn't experience that moment. here I was having that moment, and those moments would continue to occur. And so I just held on to that precious piece of grace, knowing that it's possible and I will move through this. So that was incredibly healing for me, and to just be in a state of allowing myself to feel the pain that I've probably been avoiding for a long time, to be honest, and trying not to avoid, and half going into, but now with what has occurred, there was just no other way for me to, I can't like step around this. I have to go through it. So from there, the next thing that has been really powerful for me has been visioning and feeling my future. So I created a Pinterest board called Visioning 2021, and it's just a collection of images that bring alive a feeling for me, that bring alive how I would like my life to look and feel, what experiences I would like to have. And it's when I start to perhaps loop on some stories and thoughts or habits and patterns, or want to reach out to this person, I actually go to this board and I look at what my future vision is. And it's a reminder, it's like an anchor and a reminder for what I'm cultivating and wanting to create in my life, and why I have made some choices that I have made, and why I'm currently at this place in my life. So even though it's challenging now, having that vision, that collection of images as my anchor, it reminds me why I'm doing this and why I'm in this challenging space. So it also allows some excitement and some joy to come in, because there's been a lot of being in the depths of the emotion, and they need to be felt for sure. But I think it's also important to allow the glimmers of excitement for the future, and just to also be able to remind myself what my dreams are. So there's a few more things I've been doing. I have been really trying to surround myself with a team of people, really, that I can go to for support when I need help moving through things. Just people that can help me shift things in times when I might be feeling a little stuck or stagnant. So I've been going to massage, which is also just very relaxing for my nervous system, especially in those initial weeks when I was feeling quite stressed and my nervous system was quite stressed out, of course, through what I was going through. I've been going to acupuncture with someone who I believe was once a Buddhist monk, so he also just gives me really nice pieces of wisdom during the sessions. And the first time I went to see him, my friend Gemma actually took me to see him. She'd been seeing him for some physical work, and I'd been on her couch for like 2 or 3 days just crying, and she's like, "We're going to see this guy, I'm going to acupuncture, come with me." And so I got there, and I'm writing down on this form why I'm there, and I'm like, I don't really have any physical issues right now, and I'm just like, why am I here? And I'm like, I wrote down on the piece of paper, I feel heartbroken. And it actually made me giggle, because I was like, I'm actually just here because I feel like my heart is broken. And even in that first session, he did some work on like de-armoring my heart, like rather than having it all closed off, opening it, and also some work on my lungs, because I was barely breathing. I was like, really short with my breath through this time, and that's not good for the body and calming the body. So he really worked on opening my heart and opening my lungs in my very first session. I've gone back to him a few times since, and we'll continue going to see him during this time. I've been seeing a Balinese healer, going to water purification ceremonies, fire ceremonies. The water has been incredibly healing for me. So water purification, just being in the ocean, floating. I never used to get in pools very much, but while I've been here in Bali, I've ended up in a few of them, and even that, just surrendering to the body of water and relaxing and trusting myself in the water and floating, it's just been really healing. It's really helped me to release and let go. So that's why baths have been important as well. Like, I really did have a miraculous healing session in the bathtub quite a few weeks back, and it was very helpful in moving forward. I've been learning Spanish. I'll be honest, I have fallen a little bit off track with that in these recent weeks, but I will get back on it. But just learning a new language, and also a language that I really love and would love to be able to speak, especially with wanting to spend more time in South America and Peru. It also is creating new neural pathways, and it gives a sense of accomplishment. And because travel is important to me and I intend to spend time living in other countries, it's a feel-good feeling to learn a new sentence and to learn new words. So that's been uplifting for me to learn, just something fun. Going somewhere new. So sometimes I just get on my scooter if I'm feeling a little stuck or stagnant, and I go for a ride somewhere new, like down a different street, go a different way. And that sense of adventure brings something alive in me, and I end up like smiling and just feeling this expansion. So that's just a nice little thing for me, is go somewhere new, see something different, like awaken that sense of adventure. Good friends. I mean, I'm really, really lucky to have ended up here in Bali with some of my best friends and people who have really been able to show up for me and support me through this time. I've got someone here who is like my mentor, my big sister, one of my best friends, and I've just been really supported and taken care of. And I'm really grateful that I have really good people like that in my life. So one of the other things that I did weeks back, actually, when this was all first happening, is I actually spoke with a psychic, a very highly recommended person, and she was so spot on and just really tuned in and knew what was going on in my life. And that conversation with her was really confirming and really helped me in those beginning weeks to move forward and know what it is that I needed to do and that I had to commit to moving forward. I then, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, had a reading with one of my teachers in the Andes, Puma. I had a coca reading with him. They read the coca leaves in the Andes. And he actually said very much the same thing as what the psychic had said to me. So it was also, again, very confirming. But, Puma had his own flavor and wisdom to share, which was just very uplifting for me and very confirming, and very much like I was starting to I felt like I was spiraling a little bit back into a bit of a looping story and some old patterns and behaviors. And what he shared just really helped me to remember, commit to moving forward, stay on track, and the possibilities that are there for me through doing that. There is one more thing that I have been doing. There's actually a few more things, there's meditations and things like this, but there is one practice in particular I've really been doing, and I just feel like I might share that in a separate video and give it its own moment and sharing. So this video is already getting a little bit long, and I've shared enough of an update, so I might leave that one for the next video. It's also a time of change for me now as well. This is a little bit more of an update, but I felt yesterday actually for me marked a time of transition and change, as my beautiful friend who I've been quite close to, who's been living next door to me, left to move back to the UK and start a beautiful new beginning for her there. And just with that transition and seeing her go and looking around at the environment and where I've been at this place since the day I didn't get on my flight to go back to Australia. And I just really recognized and could really feel that it's time for me to leave this space, and it's time for me to make that transition and make the change. And so I will actually be moving. I'll be leaving Ubud likely and heading to Uluwatu, so I can be a bit closer to the ocean, and it's a very healing space for me. They both are, but they offer different things. So Uluwatu just feels a little bit more expansive for me at this point in time. Ubud can feel quite inward. I just want to be a bit closer to the ocean and just change my environment for a little bit of time. I don't know where I'll be the next time I check in. I might be in my new space. I guess we'll see where I end up. And you know, as I'm moving through this time, there's going to be times when maybe I don't feel like I can always jump on and do these video diaries. I'm being gentle with myself during this process that I'm in. And there's times when I'm going to feel stronger and feel like I can share more and give more. So I hope that this has been helpful for some people as well watching this. And if you're going through this thing we call heartbreak, I hope that this has offered some support and help, and that you know you're not alone in it. And really, most of us, if not all of us, go through this in some kind of way in our life. And just to know that you're not alone in that. And it can feel really rough and really challenging and really painful. But I really remind myself in that first, I think I hit about week 2 or week 3 of when this was all happening. And I said to myself, you're doing a lot better than you were doing a week ago. So in another week, you're going to be doing even better than you are now. And in another week from that, it's going to get better. And I realized that I wasn't going to be sitting in this pain, grief, loneliness, abandonment, all these feelings forever. So I often, even now when I start to feel some emotions, I remind myself, like, yes, it's important to feel that, but remember you're doing so much better than the place you were in a few weeks ago. It will continue to get better. The healing process can take some time. So yeah, that's all I'm going to share for now. And thank you for all of you who are watching and all of you who are here and who have been following the journey. I really appreciate you following along on my journey in life. And I'll check in again with you soon. Much love.